With regard to the race for the genome, it was really exciting time, and I'm extremely fortunate to be part of that effort, right? And what happened is that Jim Watson, the co-discoverer of the DNA double helix, had an amazing vision where he made a case to NIH and Washington that was not very popular, that rather than finding one gene at a time, because people were hunting genes one at a time, this is going to take 100 years to get there. If the US government were to invest a lot of money to get the entire genome done, he said it will transform biology forever, right? And it was very controversial. There were a lot of hearings, a lot of people were against it, and so on. But he persisted, and the Human Genome Project was announced, right? And Francis Collins was the director. A new institute was formed at the National Institute of Health called the National Human Genome Research Institute. And what's very interesting is the first round of funding was very competitive, like anything else. Lots of institutes applied, and a couple of million was given out to about 25 or so institutes. And Baylor College of Medicine in Houston was very lucky to be one of them. And this was progressing at the usual pace of academic findings, because academic research is very rigorous. We cannot afford a single mistake, and typically when we do experiments, we have discoveries. We repeat this many times in the laboratory, and then even then when we ultimately publish our findings, it goes through rigorous peer review. Very often our manuscripts come back massacred by our peers, and so most unfortunately the pace is slow, but if it's not, there's a price to pay. So the initial round of funding to these academic institutions, the genome project was going along very well, but at the academic pace, right? And because we were pushing the boundaries, we had to have major technological advances. So we were working very closely with companies. I mean, it was amazing. If I had an idea to, automate something, I would have 3-4 companies dying to do it for me, because, they could, then significantly benefit from that. And what happened is one of these companies decided, hey, we are making the instruments, the technology that is enabling this, we could do the genome. And so what happened with Craig Venter is that he then formed this company, Celera Genomics, that said, we are the ones who's providing the technology to the public institutes, that we too will do the genome. And so then, as you know, there was a big controversy as to whether public companies should have access to the genome and be able to patent it. So at that moment, the NIH made an amazing decision. They decided to pull the funding to the top 5 institutes, because by now there was a track record for all these institutes, who was doing well, who was behind. And so they, in an instant, took all the funding and gave it to 5. So Baylor College of Medicine had 80 million come their way. I mean, this is like a corporation. And it was also decided that every week that the NIH director will be briefed by the 5 centers, and the 5 centers were at Baylor College of Medicine in Houston, MIT in Boston, Washington University in St. Louis, and University of Cambridge in England, the Sanger Center, and then the Joint Genome Institutes at Berkeley, Livermore, and so on. Every week we had to sit on that conference call and brief the director, and if anyone was behind, that was not, nice. So, but I also want to make the point that Baylor, somehow there is a northeastern bias to this whole thing, and we were like the wild card. And so when we were first got on the call, it's like, okay, whatever. And then, towards the end, they were saying, hey, Houston, we have a problem. So that was very nice. But at that time, then, we made a decision that is unprecedented in science. And that is every night from what comes from our machine, with and without mistakes, without repeating, will be posted on the web. And what we will do is we will do a draft genome with and without mistakes first, but everything we posted basically was territory that could not be patented. And that we would come around and clean up the genome. So we will have two publications, a draft publication that will claim territory, and then followed up by the finishing of the human genome. So the first one got done in the year 2000, published in Science, and then each chromosome got finished the way we would have liked to do it, 100 times over, make sure there are no mistakes, published in the year 2003. Baylor, I'm on 3 publications in the prestigious journal Nature, landmark papers describing our human chromosome 3, 12, and X. And so that was very exciting.